They are not who you are. Your emotions serve you. You do not serve them. Right now, most people live as slaves to their emotions. They are tossed around by every feeling, anger, sadness, fear, joy, without ever questioning them. If you feel it, you act on it, you let it drive you. But this is where most people go wrong. It's time to take back control. Emotions are powerful, but they must be controlled. Emotions are a part of life. They are not to be feared or ignored, but they must be controlled. They must be directed by your conscious mind, not your impulses. When you feel angry, it doesn't mean you act on it. When you feel fear, it doesn't mean you freeze. When you feel overwhelmed, it doesn't mean you shut down. Feelings are signals. They tell you something, but they don't control you. You control them. Here's the key. You are not your emotions. And when you understand that, you take back your power. The storm of emotions. Imagine your mind as a storm. The wind howls. The clouds roll in. The rain pours. The thunder crashes. It feels intense, overwhelming. You can't see clearly. The storm is everywhere, and it's impossible to ignore. But what if you could step back? What if instead of being caught in the storm, you could watch it from a distance? You would see it for what it is, a passing event, a temporary disruption. The storm comes and the storm goes. Your emotions are the same way. They rise, they crash, but they pass. You don't have to get swept away in them. When you feel the anger surge or the sadness pull you down, pause, step back, observe. The storm is passing. It doesn't define you. The power of observation, you don't need to get lost in your emotions. In fact, when you step outside of them and observe them, you regain control. Here's how you do it. Acknowledge the emotion. Don't suppress it. Recognize it, name it. You're not weak for feeling. Pause and breathe. Give yourself a moment to sit with it. Don't let the emotion hijack your thoughts. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Understand it, but don't let it decide what you do next. Respond deliberately. Now that you've observed and understood the emotion, decide how you will act. Will you let it control you, or will you control it? That's how you take back control. You observe, don't react. Real world. Example, the calm negotiator. Let's take a look at great negotiators. They're masters of emotional control. When you think about a high-stakes negotiation, what comes to mind? People yelling, demanding, pushing their agendas? The pressure is high. Tensions are thick. Everyone in the room is feeling something. But the great negotiators? They don't react. They don't get swept up in the emotional tide of the room. Instead, they listen. They reflect. They stay calm. Why? Because they understand this core principle. Their emotions serve them. They do not serve their emotions. Let's say you're in a heated discussion about a business deal. Your counterpart just made a disrespectful comment. You feel the anger rise. You're ready to react. But great negotiators know the value of emotional control. They pause. They breathe. They observe their feelings. They don't let the insult define their next move. They reflect. They don't receive, and in doing so, they stay in control. They respond calmly, thoughtfully, and with power. They don't let their emotions take charge. They take charge of their emotions. The illusion of instant reactions. Most people believe that when they feel something, they have to act on it immediately. The moment the emotion hits, the action follows. That's the illusion. But here's the hard truth. Instant reactions often lead to mistakes. You have a choice. Instead of reacting, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? What would the most disciplined version of me do right now? The difference between reacting and responding can be the difference between a moment of chaos and a moment of clarity. Repetition and reinforcement. Your emotions serve you. Let's drive this home. Your emotions serve you. You do not serve them. When you feel anger, pause. When you feel fear, pause. When you feel overwhelmed, pause. Observe the storm. Step back. You don't need to be swept away. Instead, take control. Choose your response. Respond with discipline. It's that simple. The role of conscious awareness. The reason you can control your emotions is that you're consciously aware of them. You are the observer, not the participant. When you're aware of your emotional state, You can decide how to handle it. When you're not aware, you're just reacting. You're being driven by unconscious patterns and automatic responses. That's why awareness is the key to emotional discipline. It allows you to recognize when you're slipping into reactive behavior and gives you the power to choose a different path. Conscious awareness is the foundation of control. Moving from reaction to response, the transition from reacting to responding is where transformation happens. You must make the decision to move from automatic emotional responses to deliberate, intentional actions. When you feel anger rise, instead of reacting immediately, choose to respond with clarity and discipline. When you feel sadness or fear, instead of letting those emotions dictate your behavior, respond with strength and purpose. You have a choice. Every single time, you have a choice. The final truth. Emotions are tools, not masters. It's time to stop seeing your emotions as enemies. They are tools, powerful tools. They are signals, teaching you about your internal state and the world around you, but you are the one who gets to decide how those tools are used. It's not about ignoring your emotions. It's not about suppressing them. It's about controlling them. Your emotions serve you. You do not serve them. Linking to the book's theme, control, not suppression, as we've seen, emotions are powerful, but they must be controlled. They are not to be feared or ignored, but to be understood and guided by your disciplined mind. This control over your emotions is the true foundation of your power and success. It's the key to responding rather than reacting. When you control your emotions, you control the high cost of giving in to impulse. Now that you understand the role of emotions in your life, it's time to look at the cost of ignoring this discipline. When you give in to impulse, when you let your emotions control you, you pay a price. That price is far greater than you might think. In the next chapter, we'll explore the consequences of living a life of emotional reactivity and how you can break free from this pattern. This chapter reinforces the core message that emotions must be controlled and directed by the conscious mind. It uses repetition, powerful real-world examples, and clear instructions to help the listener understand how to observe their emotions without becoming swept away by them. The chapter ends with a smooth transition to the next chapter, keeping the listener engaged and motivated to continue the journey. You have a choice. Every single moment you can either react or respond. The difference between the two is massive. One leads you to chaos and regret. The other leads you to control, power, and mastery of your life. It's not about your emotions. It's about your discipline. Most people live in a state of reaction. They're like a ping-pong ball bouncing from one emotional response to the next. Life throws something at them, they react. Someone criticizes them, they react. They get cut off in traffic, they react. They're at the mercy of every external stimulus. It's exhausting, and it's why they're stuck. But it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to live in reaction. You can choose to respond. And when you do, you gain control, you gain power, and you stop being a slave to your emotions. The difference between reacting and responding. Let's break it down. Reacting is immediate. It's emotional. It's unthinking. You let your feelings control you. Responding, on the other hand, is deliberate. It's measured. It's thoughtful. You pause. You breathe. You choose your action. You take control of the situation rather than letting the situation take control of you. Here's what reacting looks like. You're in a meeting and someone throws a jab at you. They challenge your idea. Your immediate response is to get defensive. You want to fight back. You feel anger rising. You respond with aggression or frustration. That's reacting. You let the moment control you. Your emotions hijack your actions. Now, what does responding look like? The same situation. Someone challenges your idea. You feel the anger creeping up, but instead of letting it control you, you pause. You breathe. You step back. You assess. You don't just react. You take a moment, gather your thoughts, and then respond with clarity. You don't get defensive. You stay calm. You speak your truth, but with control. That's responding. It's measured. It's calculated. It's disciplined. The power of responding under pressure. Let's look at a real-world example of responding under pressure. Think about high-stakes negotiations. Whether it's a corporate deal, a diplomatic meeting, or even a simple conflict at work, The pressure is high. In these situations, emotions run high. Tension fills the room. And the natural impulse? To react, to snap back, to defend your position. But the most successful negotiators don't react. They don't snap. They don't get defensive. Instead, they respond. Consider this. There's a renowned negotiator, known for his ability to remain cool under pressure. He's sitting in a tense room, and the other party just made a demand that's both aggressive and unreasonable. Now, the average person might lash out, call it out, escalate the tension, but not this negotiator. He sits. He listens. He lets the other party speak. He reflects on their words. He doesn't take offense. He doesn't take ownership of their anger. Instead, he reflects it back, calmly, without judgment. And in doing so, he maintains control of the negotiation. When the moment passes, he responds with a calm, reasoned counterpoint. He doesn't allow the situation to dictate his emotions. He dictates the conversation with his measured response. That's the power of responding. It's the power of control. It's the power of mastery over your emotions. The key to control: reflect. Don't receive. You don't need their permission to control your emotions. When someone challenges you, insults you, or pushes your buttons, don't take it personally. Reflect it. Don't receive it. What does that mean? It means you don't internalize someone else's negative energy. You don't own their insults. You don't take their frustration into your heart and let it fester. You simply reflect it back to them without letting it affect you. Reflect it. Don't receive it. This is the difference between being a puppet of your emotions and being the master of them. You see, when you receive someone's anger, you're saying, "This is mine now." You let their negativity take root inside you. You allow it to dictate your behavior. You react because you've let their energy control yours. But when you reflect it, you detach. You don't absorb it. You don't let it influence you. You are still in control, and you respond calmly with discipline. The immediate benefits of responding versus reacting. When you start responding, rather than reacting, something incredible happens. You stop losing control. No more knee-jerk responses. No more regret after the fact. No more wishing you had said or done something different. You start making decisions from a place of calm, clarity, and strength. You gain respect. You gain confidence. And the most powerful part? You gain trust from others. People will start looking at you differently. They'll start to see you as someone who is unshakable, someone who doesn't lose their cool. And the moment you stop reacting, you stop giving away your power. But here's the kicker. You don't just stop reacting for the sake of your peace of mind. You stop reacting because it opens the door for better outcomes. Think about it. When you respond thoughtfully, you can assess the situation clearly. You can weigh the consequences of your actions. You can make a choice that moves you forward rather than a choice that digs you into a deeper hole. In short, when you stop reacting, you stop sabotaging your future. You start building your future, repetition and reinforcement. Respond, don't react. So, let me drill this into your mind. You have a choice: react or respond. It's the difference between chaos and control. It's the difference between failure and success. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. It's not about your feelings. It's about your discipline. Stop reacting. Start responding. Taking action. The power of the pause, now. I want you to do something right now. The next time life pushes you to react, whether it's a harsh comment, an unexpected problem, or even just a bad day, pause. That pause is your power. In those 3 seconds, you make the decision. Will I react? Or will I respond? It's that simple. But that pause gives you the control you need to make the right choice. And when you choose to respond calmly, deliberately, and with discipline, you win. You've learned the most important lesson of this chapter. Reacting is a trap. Responding is where your power lies. Now let's explore the true cost of reacting. In the next chapter, we'll dive deep into how reacting impulsively not only harms your relationships, but also prevents you from achieving your full potential. Chapter 3. The High Cost of Giving in to Impulse. This chapter follows a tough love, direct coaching tone while reinforcing the core principle of emotional discipline. The repetition of key phrases like, "You have a choice," "Stop reacting," "Start responding," and "Reflect it," "Don't receive it," ensures that the listener internalizes the message. Real-world examples and actionable instructions make the concepts relatable and actionable. While the chapter ends with a strong, seamless transition to the next chapter, keeping the listener engaged and eager to continue. Most people don't realize this. You are living on autopilot. Your decisions, your reactions, your actions, they aren't coming from you. They're coming from your unconscious mind, from the patterns you've built over years of emotional impulses and automatic behavior. That's the problem. You think you're in control, but you're not. You're a passenger in your own life. The question is, how do you take back the wheel autopilot behavior? A silent enemy. What do I mean by autopilot behavior? Autopilot is when you react without thinking. When something happens, and you respond out of habit, without any real awareness or thought. It's your emotions running the show. It's like driving a car without paying attention, letting the wheel turn itself. You've probably done it. Someone criticizes you, and immediately you feel defensive, even if you don't really care. Someone makes a comment, and you immediately feel offended, even though it has nothing to do with you. You act out of fear or anger without considering the long-term consequences. That's autopilot. The problem with autopilot is that it's mindless. You're letting your unconscious patterns take over. You're not in control. Your emotions are why you're not in control. Here's the cold, hard truth. Your mind is working against you. Your brain is wired to respond to emotions and situations based on past experiences, fear, and habit. Think about it. How many times have you snapped at someone for no good reason? Or how many times have you avoided something because you were too scared, too uncomfortable, or too lazy? That's not control. That's autopilot. You've been living in reaction mode, responding based on old wounds, old fears, old beliefs. You think you're making conscious decisions, but most of the time, you're just responding to old programming. Real-world example. The negotiator's calm now. Let's look at a real-world example of someone who has mastered control over autopilot behavior. The great negotiator. Imagine being in a high-stakes business negotiation. Tensions are high, the pressure is on, and your counterpart says something disrespectful, something designed to provoke you. Most people, in this moment, would snap. They'd take the bait. They'd react with anger or frustration. But great negotiators? They don't react. They don't let their unconscious impulses take over. Instead, they listen carefully, pause, and reflect. Why? Because they know that taking offense is a choice. They don't take ownership of the other person's disrespect. They let it slide off their shoulders like water off a duck's back. They don't take it personally. They stay calm, centered, and in control of their emotions. That's the power of conscious control. In the heat of the moment, they don't let their autopilot behavior hijack their decision-making. They choose to stay composed. They choose to listen, assess, and respond with clarity and intention. Repetition and reinforcement. Take control of the wheel. Here's the hard truth. You are not in control of your life unless you control your impulses. You have a choice. You can either let your autopilot take over, or you can decide to take control. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait for the right moment. You can start now. That's the key. Awareness. The first step in taking control of your life is becoming aware of when you're operating on autopilot. The moment you recognize that you're reacting automatically, whether it's fear, anger, or insecurity, you can stop, you can pause, you can reflect, and then you can respond with intention, the role of awareness. In breaking autopilot, the first step to breaking free from autopilot is awareness. Start paying attention to your emotional responses. Notice when you react without thinking. Notice the patterns that drive your behavior. This is key, because until you're aware, you can't change anything. Start observing yourself. When you feel anger rising, pause. When you feel defensive, pause. When you feel fear, pause. Don't react immediately. Take control of the moment. The more you practice this, the stronger your self-discipline becomes. You'll notice that over time, your emotional reactions start to diminish. You'll stop being a slave to your impulses. You'll start making decisions from a place of clarity, not habit. Real-world example: breaking free from unconscious responses. Think about this scenario. You've been working on a project for weeks. You're proud of it. But then, your boss gives you negative feedback. Your first instinct? To get defensive. But what happens when you don't react? What happens when, instead of snapping, you take a deep breath and listen? You process the feedback, assess it without emotion, and respond thoughtfully. That's where growth happens. That's where control happens. That's where the future unfolds when you stop reacting from a place of fear and start responding from a place of confidence and clarity. How to break free from autopilot. Here's how to break free from autopilot. Acknowledge your emotional triggers. Recognize the situations that send you into autopilot mode. Is it stress, criticism, conflict? Pause, reflect. Choose. That's the key. You choose your response. When you take a moment to pause, you gain the time and space you need to make a conscious decision. Rather than automatically reacting, it's about slowing down. It's about taking control. The power of conscious control. When you start taking control, you'll notice a shift. You'll notice that you stop reacting. You stop letting your emotions dictate your behavior. And when that happens, you start building a life that is deliberate. Every decision you make is intentional. Every action is carefully chosen. That's where the power lies. Conscious control is freedom. When you control your reactions, you control your life. Linking to the book's theme, control over reaction is control over life. You've learned that autopilot behavior is a silent enemy that keeps you from living with intention. It keeps you trapped in unconscious patterns, but now you know. You have the power to change it. You can take the wheel. You can become the person who responds, not reacts. The person who makes conscious decisions, not automatic ones. It's not about the past. It's about your discipline. Control is not just an option. It's a necessity. Without control, you are a passenger in your own life. Master the pause. Now that you understand the power of awareness and conscious control, it's time to move to the next level. The key to breaking free from autopilot is the pause. In the next chapter, we'll dive deep into how the simple act of pausing can change everything, how it can give you the space to make better decisions, master your emotions, and truly take control of your life. Right now, you are controlled by your emotions. Every time you react, you lose power. You let the world dictate your responses, pulling you in every direction, draining your energy, and robbing you of your potential. This ends now. This audiobook will show you the disciplined path to self-control, where you break free from the reactive cycle and take charge of your emotional destiny. No more excuses, no more distractions. It's time to take control, once and for all. Are you ready to stop reacting and start dominating? Self-control is the cornerstone of true personal power. It's the invisible force that determines your future. You can have all the talent, all the drive, all the ambition in the world, but without self-control, it will never amount to anything. It's not about intelligence. It's not about your charm or your network. It's about discipline. You must master yourself. You must own your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. And here's the harsh truth. Most people are failing at this and they don't even realize it. People live their lives reacting to their emotions, to the world around them, to every slight, every stressor, every frustration. It's like being on a roller coaster, constantly jumping from one emotional high to the next. Up, down, happy, sad, energized, drained. It's exhausting. But here's the thing. You don't have to live this way. Self-control is the key to freedom. It's the key to inner peace, the key to success. Without it, you'll always be at the mercy of your emotions, your impulses, and the world around you. And that's not where power lies. Real-world example. The power of silence in high-pressure situations. Let's talk about a real-world example. Think of the greatest negotiators, people who can sit in a room full of tension with millions on the line and remain cool under pressure. They are masters of self-control. They listen. They observe. But they don't react. They don't let emotions get in the way. They don't take offense. They don't jump to conclusions. They listen without ownership. That's the key. Reflect it. Don't receive it. When someone insults you, when someone attacks your ideas, what do? Do you react in anger, fire back a snide remark, or get defensive? If you do, you've lost. But if you can simply reflect what's being said without letting it define you, you win. In every situation, you can choose how to respond. But you'll only make the right choice if you master your emotions first. Breaking free from reactive behavior. Let me break this down. What's reactive behavior? It's when you let the external world control your internal world. When someone cuts you off in traffic and your blood boils, that's reactive. When someone disrespects you and you instantly start planning your comeback, that's reactive. When your boss criticizes your work and you immediately feel inadequate, that's reactive. The key point here is, you have a choice. You can choose to let these outside events control your emotional state, or you can choose to control your emotional state no matter what happens. The moment you stop reacting and start responding with thought and intention, you gain control, you gain power. Real-world example, the cool-headed negotiator. Take a look at great negotiators. A prime example is a seasoned business executive, sitting across the table from someone who's pushing hard, throwing in high-pressure tactics. What do? Do they panic? Do they react? No, they pause. They breathe. They listen. They reflect. They maintain composure. They know that reacting in anger or with impatience only weakens their position. In fact, the best negotiators often say nothing at all in a tense moment. They let the silence speak louder than words. Why? Because silence gives them control. Silence is power, and when they do speak, it's with clarity, confidence, and intention. Their words have weight because they're grounded in control, not emotion. The cost of reacting versus responding. Think about it. How many times have you acted impulsively and regretted it? Maybe you said something in the heat of the moment that you can't take back. Maybe you overreacted to a minor inconvenience, turning it into a crisis. That's the cost of reacting. You lose control. You lose power. You lose the ability to think clearly. Now ask yourself, what would happen if, instead of reacting, you paused and made a deliberate decision to respond? What if you took a breath, assessed the situation, and then chose your words or actions carefully? You'd have a different outcome, a better outcome. You would maintain your composure, retain your power, and make the right decision. Repetition and reinforcement. The core concept of control, that's the key. The key to emotional control is not in stopping your emotions. They will come. They are part of being human, but you can stop them from controlling you. Control is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. The greatest negotiators, the calmest leaders, and the most successful people don't react. They respond. And that's exactly what you need to start doing today. So, I'm going to say it again. You have a choice. You can either react or you can respond. When you respond with discipline and calm, you gain control over the situation. You gain control over your life. Taking responsibility for your responses, this is where the power of self-control truly lies. In the moment of decision. The moment when life pushes your buttons. When your emotional triggers are hit. That's when you decide, will you react like everyone else? Or will you respond like a master of your emotions? Let me give you a simple tool. When you feel the impulse to react, pause for 3 seconds. It's that simple. In those 3 seconds, you will make a choice. You will either react and give in to the moment, or you will respond thoughtfully, with control. The pause is your power. It's a decision to take back your power, linking to the book's theme. Emotional control is your superpower, as we've already established. Emotional control is not optional for success. It's the key to success. Every time you choose to control your emotions rather than react, you make a conscious decision to unlock the silent power that drives you forward. It's not about never feeling anger or frustration. It's about not letting those feelings dictate your actions. Self-control is the cornerstone of personal power. Most people don't know this. The difference between reacting and responding is a pause. That's it. A simple 3-second break. seconds. In those 3 seconds, you can take control of your emotions. You can make better decisions. You can change your life. That's the key. Master the pause, master your life. In this chapter, you're going to learn how that pause, just 3 seconds, can make the difference between success and failure, between reaction and response, between chaos and control. What is the pause? The pause is exactly what it sounds like. It's a deliberate break in the action. When life throws you a curveball, whether it's a rude comment, a stressful situation, or a challenge, you pause. You stop. You don't react immediately. Instead of jumping to conclusions, instead of lashing out or freezing, you simply stop and breathe. That's it. It's that simple. It's a moment of control. A moment where you take the reins of your emotional state instead of letting your emotions take over. When you master the pause, you gain the ability to respond intentionally, not impulsively. You don't let the situation dictate your behavior. You decide how you will react. The power of the pause. Here's the thing. In every situation, you have a choice. You can either react, driven by your emotions, or you can pause, take a breath, and choose your response. That pause, those 3 seconds, give you power. They give you space to think. They give you time to decide how you want to show up. And that's where the power lies. In the choice, most people don't take that pause. They react instinctively, emotionally, without thinking. And in doing so, they lose control. But when you pause, you step into your power. You take back control of the situation. You decide what happens next. Real-world example. The power of the pause in negotiation. Let me tell you a story. Imagine you're sitting in a high-stakes negotiation. There's tension in the air. The stakes are high. You're about to close a deal that could change everything for you, but then your counterpart says something that hits you wrong. It's a comment that's disrespectful, a jab that you weren't expecting. Your first instinct? To snap back, right? To defend yourself, to retaliate, to let your emotions take over. But great negotiators don't do that. They pause. They breathe. They don't let the insult derail them. They don't let it shake their focus. Instead, they take that 3-second break. In those 3 seconds, they assess the situation. They recognize their emotional response, but they don't let it control them. They reflect rather than react, and in those 3 seconds, they gain control. They respond with clarity. They stay calm and they make a strategic choice, one that leads them to a better outcome. The pause allows them to think, to evaluate, and to decide how to move forward with power. The science behind the pause. Why does the pause work? Because when you feel an emotional trigger, like anger, frustration, or fear, your body is flooded with chemicals that prime you to react. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense up, your brain starts firing in response to the stimulus. But when you pause, you interrupt that automatic response. In those 3 seconds, your brain shifts from the emotional, reactive part of your mind, the limbic system, to the more rational, thinking part, the prefrontal cortex. The pause allows your mind to take control of your emotions, rather than letting your emotions take control of you. In short, the pause gives you the time to think, rather than act on impulse, and thinking is always more powerful than reacting. Repetition and reinforcement, master the pause, master your life. Let me drill this into your head. Master the pause, master your life. It's that simple. In every moment, you have a choice. Will you react, or will you pause? When you pause, you take control. You regain power. You decide how you will respond. It's not about your emotions. It's about your discipline. Master the pause. Master your life. How to implement the pause. So, how do you start implementing the pause in your life? 1. Catch the trigger. The first step is awareness. Start paying attention to when you're triggered, when you're about to react. Pause for 3 seconds. Before you do anything, stop, breathe, count to 3. Reflect. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, what is the best response here? What is the most disciplined response? Or respond with intention. After the pause, respond. Choose your words, your actions, your energy with purpose. It's that simple. But that pause changes everything. Instead of getting swept away by your emotions, you become the master of them. Instead of reacting impulsively, you make strategic decisions, and that's where the transformation happens. Master the pause. Master your life. Real-world example, the athlete who paused before winning. Let's consider an athlete. In the final seconds of a high-pressure game, the score is tied. The crowd is roaring. The pressure is unbearable. The athlete could panic, miss the shot, and lose the game. Or the athlete could pause. He takes a deep breath. He sees the basket. He lets the moment sink in. And then with full control, he shoots and scores. What happened here? He didn't react to the pressure. He paused. And in that pause, he regained control. He didn't let the fear or anxiety dictate his actions. Instead, he made a deliberate, controlled decision that led to success. Master the pause. Master your life. The key to control: interrupt the reaction. Key to breaking free from reactive behavior is simple. Interrupt the reaction. Whenever you feel that familiar surge of emotion, whether it's anger, fear, or frustration, don't give in. Pause. Take a breath. Don't let your emotions control you. In those 3 seconds, you will choose a response that is calculated, a response that is powerful. Master the pause, master your life. Linking to the book's theme, the pause is the bridge to discipline. The pause is more than just a technique. It's a fundamental shift in how you approach life. It's a way of asserting control over your emotions, your actions, and your outcomes. When you master the pause, you step into your power. You stop reacting to life. You start responding to it with purpose, with control, and with discipline. The pause is the bridge that takes you from emotional chaos to emotional control. Impulse. It's a powerful force. It strikes in the heat of the moment when you're tired, frustrated, or tempted. You feel it, that urge, that craving, the need to act now. But here's the truth. Impulse decisions don't lead to freedom. They lead to regret. And regret doesn't just show up on your doorstep. It follows you, grows with you, and affects every aspect of your life, your career, your relationships, and your growth. You have a choice. You can either give in to impulse, or you can take control and make decisions that serve your future. The allure of instant gratification. Here's the thing. Our brains are wired for instant gratification. We want what we want now. We see something we like, and we buy it. We feel stress, and we eat comfort food. We feel frustration, and we snap back at someone. Instant gratification is tempting. It's easy. It's what most people do, but it comes with a cost. It's not about what feels good now. It's about what's going to serve you later. Every time you give in to that impulse, you're paying the price for your future. You're trading long-term benefits for short-term satisfaction, and that's a mistake. The domino effect of impulse decisions don't just affect the moment. They have a domino effect. One decision leads to another. And before you know it, a series of impulsive choices can destroy your career, sabotage your relationships, and halt your personal growth. Think about it. You give in to the urge to eat that junk food because you're feeling stressed, and you lose your energy, your focus, and your health. You react impulsively in a meeting at work, speaking out of frustration, and your boss questions your professionalism. You send that angry text to your partner, and the damage to your relationship is done. The consequences pile up. Each impulse decision sets off a chain reaction, and the next thing you know, you're trapped in a cycle of regret. Every impulse decision you make has a long-term effect. It's not about the short-term release. It's about the long-term cost real-world example, impulse versus self-control. Let's look at 2 people in the same situation. Person A is facing a tempting opportunity. They've worked hard, but the pressure is getting to them. They've been working overtime and they're exhausted. They're offered a shortcut, a way to make things easier and faster, but it's a decision that will cut corners. It's an impulse. Person A gives in. They make the quick choice, choosing instant relief. But later they realize it wasn't worth it. They've compromised their integrity, their reputation, and their long-term success. Now let's look at Person B. They're also tired, stressed, and facing the same temptation. But person B practices self-control. They take a step back, they pause, and they make the disciplined choice. They reject the shortcut. They continue working hard despite the fatigue. They resist the impulse to take the easy road, knowing that the long-term payoff will be worth it. What happens? In the long run, person B's career takes off. They build trust. They earn respect. They grow. And while person A's shortcuts might have brought instant relief, they've lost something even more valuable, their integrity. The difference is in self-control. The difference is the choice to say no to impulse. The high cost of immediate gratification. What's the cost of giving in to impulse? Let's break it down. Career. Impulse decisions often lead to shortcuts, missed opportunities, and mistakes. In the long run, they prevent you from building the solid foundation you need for growth and success. Relationships. Reacting without thinking, whether it's in anger, jealousy, or frustration, can destroy trust and damage your relationships. The impulse to speak without considering the impact can lead to irreparable harm. Personal growth. When you live in reaction mode, you stop growing. You stop challenging yourself. You stop learning. Every time you give in to impulse, you stunt your growth and limit your potential. The high cost of impulse is not just the regret you feel in the moment. It's the life you never build because you let emotions drive you. Repetition and reinforcement. Your choices define your future. Here's the hard truth. You have a choice. You can choose to give in to impulse, or you can choose to exercise self-control. You can react, or you can respond. It's not about feeling good in the moment. It's about your discipline, your ability to make the decision that serves your future. That's the key. Every decision you make today will shape your tomorrow. Impulse may feel good now, but self-control will pay off later. How to break the cycle of impulse. So, how do you stop the cycle of impulse behavior? 1. Recognize the pattern. The first step is awareness. Start noticing when you're acting on impulse. What triggers you? Stress? Boredom? Fear? 2. Pause before reacting. Take a step back. Don't act immediately. That pause, even for just 3 seconds, can help you make a more calculated decision. Ask yourself, what's the long-term impact? Instead of acting on the feeling of the moment, ask yourself, what will this decision mean for me a year from now? 4. Choose the disciplined path. Choose the decision that may not feel good in the moment but will serve you in the long run. Choose growth over comfort. Choose self-control over immediate gratification. By practicing this process, you start to build discipline. You start to break free from the pull of impulse. And you start building a future that's worth living. Real-world example, the negotiator who resisted impulse. Let's revisit the great negotiator. Imagine this. You're in a heated negotiation. The other party offers you a deal that seems too good to pass up, but something doesn't sit right. It's a temptation. You're tempted to give in. You want the deal, you want the success, but you know it might not be the right thing. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause. You consider the long-term implications. You think about your integrity, your values, and your reputation, and in that pause, you choose to walk away. It wasn't easy, but in the long run, that decision was the one that led to greater respect, greater opportunities, and greater success. That's the power of self-control. The final truth. Impulse is a silent killer. Impulse is like a silent killer in your life. It chips away at your potential, sabotaging your career, your relationships, and your growth. But when you choose self-control, you build a solid foundation. You set yourself up for long-term success. You have a choice. Master your impulses, and you master your life. Linking to the book's theme. Control is the path to freedom. Every time you choose self-control over impulse, you're taking back your freedom. You're stepping out of the cycle of instant gratification and into a life of discipline, growth, and success. The choice is yours, impulse or control. Comfort or discipline, regret or freedom, mastering delayed gratification. Now that you understand the high cost of reacting impulsively, let's look at the next level of discipline, mastering delayed gratification. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how delaying your gratification can be the key to unlocking your greatest potential. Chapter 7. The Power of Delayed Gratification. How to reap what you sow. This emphasizes the long-term costs of impulse behavior and how it can impact a person's career, relationships, and personal growth. It uses repetition, clear real-world examples, and actionable steps to help the listener stop reacting impulsively and start exercising self-control for a better future. The transition to the next chapter encourages the listener to continue the journey towards self-mastery.